free.
Herb K. was right. His free information helped me stop the calls and settle my debt.
What have you got to lose? Stop the calls now, get out of debt, and have more money. Get Herb K's #1 debt secret absolutely free now. Call 888-352-7726. That's 888-352-7726. 888-352-7726.
Hundreds of nations have fallen to tyranny in the last century alone. This is our last chance to not relive history.
As we're finishing off this agenda, they'll be pulling the rug from underneath Americans at home.
They have tremendous influence on our president and Congress, and they really are calling the shots.
I think it's incumbent upon all of us as American citizens to pay attention.
Fall of the Republic identifies the enemies of our nation, the criminal offshore cartel, hell-bent on destroying sovereignty, and on its ashes constructing world government.
Tim Geithner, Bernanke, they're arsonists. They're asking for more matches. And the Congress is saying, who do we make the check out to?
Today, seems like nobody does care. And right now in Washington, D.C., we have seen a fall of the Republic.
Get your copy of Fall of the Republic on DVD at Infowars.com or watch it online right now in super high quality at prisonplanet.tv.
Peter Kronschnabel here from Midas Resources. Are you concerned about uncontrollable government spending? A banking system on the verge of collapse? Banks on the edge of being nationalized? Wall Street in continuous freefall? Scandal after scandal with hedge funds companies? If protecting your hard-earned savings or retirement fund is on your mind, the answer is simple. Secure your assets by purchasing gold and silver. Since President Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971, the United States has been operating the longest-running fiat currency in the history of mankind. Gold has held its purchasing power for over 6,000 years. Contact me, Peter Kronschnabel, at 1-800-686-2237, extension 108. Once again, that's Peter at 1-800-686-2237, extension 108. While you can still purchase gold with paper, that is 1-800-686-2237, extension 108.
Men, are you thinking about the health of your prostate? Recently, New Vitality Health Products gave away thousands of free bottles of the supplement Beta Prostate. Due to incredible demand, they're giving away more free bottles of Beta Prostate to any new customers who call now. Beta Prostate is packed with plant sterols that support your prostate health. Remember, your prostate affects urine flow, sleeping habits, intimacy, and overall quality of life. Beta Prostate is so powerful, you'd have to take 100 saw palmetto capsules in order to get the same natural plant sterols as one Beta Prostate. And if you haven't tried Beta Prostate yet, you can call right now for a free bottle. You only pay shipping and handling. Call 1-800-360-8306. This offer is limited to one free bottle per household. Give your body nutrition that targets the prostate. Call now and try Beta Prostate for free. Call 1-800-360-8306. That's 1-800-360-8306. 1-800-360-8306.
We're not going to open the phones up for Dr. Doug Rokke. The best way for you to send your questions is twitter.com/TheRealAlexJones. That's our Twitter account. There's a lot of other great Alex Jones fan sites, but that's our official Twitter account. Also, Real Alex Jones, not The Real Alex Jones. So twitter.com/RealAlexJones. Going back to Dr. Doug Rokke, one of the top experts in the world on DU, even according to the Pentagon, who he worked for. Dr. Rokke, let's talk about the real health effects in the studies and what they've known DU does and how it's a toxic byproduct of spent fuel rods from nuclear reactors. But more importantly, I want to ask you now about the mindset of the elite. I mean, they had DU in the 40s and 50s, and I saw papers where they talked about it as a weapon, and they said we can't use it because it kills our own personnel and people that move into the areas. What changed in the mindset where they wouldn't use it in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and now it's just, we're going to use it at local shooting ranges for the military. We're going to use it in Hawaii. We're going to use it in Puerto Rico. We're going to tell the troops it's okay and watch them die. I mean, this is psychopathic murder.
Yes, it is. It's just the fact that they made the decision that human life had no value, that animals had no value, that food has no value, and they just made a conscious decision. And I've been fighting this since I did all the research for them, the Nevada test site, and wrote the directives. They just don't care. But Well, as you said, the health and environmental effects of all this have always been known. I mean, my own medical care for my depleted uranium exposures, because of my assigned duties, one of the things I forced it with was the original 1973 report on the use of uranium munitions by Israelis against the Egyptians in the Sinai. And all of that stuff was known then. It was documented there in the official reports. And again, these are not classified, but they just totally there and they totally ignore it. Prior to Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom, Colonel J. Edgar Wakayama, who's the director of the U.S. Department of Defense Operational Test and Evaluation Command, gave a briefing to all the senior generals and everybody in the Pentagon upon depleted uranium, how it works, what it is, the fact that the munitions, as you said, go all the way down to the M16 rifle, 50 cal, everything all the way up. But in this briefing, he stated very specifically, I'm going to quote very, very specifically, depleted uranium munitions, when used, okay, they emit alpha, beta, and gamma particle and X-rays. The alpha particle taken inside the body in large doses is hazardous, producing cell damage and cancer. Quote, lung cancer is well documented. We continue on. Beta particle is hazardous to the skin and the lens of the eye. Now, personally, I've learned that because of all my radiation cataracts and the other problems with the eyes, and everybody else is reporting it. It continues on, very, very, quote, I mean, very, very direct, and it says, DU is chemically toxic. We look at all this stuff. We have total confirmation. Quote, urine samples containing uranium are mutagenic as determined by the Ames test. The cultured human stem bone cell line with DU also transforms the cells that become carcinogenic. That's the reason why we're seeing so incredible levels of leukemia in all these young kids coming back from Desert Storm. But we're also seeing leukemia in the children, the offspring of those who were exposed during Desert Storm.
Because just like fluoride, the particle's so small, Doctor, correct me if I'm wrong, it precipitates into the bone. That's correct. There is no respiratory skin protection that'll work. Even though when we did all this work for the military, the Department of Energy gave us their best respirators, the Army gave us their best respirators, it went through it like an open barn door. It absolutely does it. One of the big problems, quote from the Wakayama briefing, I'm going to read this because it's astonishing. They know and they disregard it. The three major routes of human exposure to DU are wounding by shrapnel, inhalation, lungs and thoracic lymph nodes, ingestions, most among children playing and eating contaminated soil and contaminated drinking water and food in the community, end quote. That is what we're seeing throughout Iraq. And that's from what year?
Pardon me?
What year was that report?
This is a briefing to the senior Pentagon leadership in 2002 before the start of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom.
And again, I'm going from memory interviewing you and others and reading mainstream news, but I saw reports in the 50s it was a secret weapon they were only going to use if the Russians flooded into Eastern Europe, but they said we still don't advise because it ruins the area for billions of years. I mean, they know this. It's just so incredible, and they know... I mean, I see the numbers of troops coming back and dropping dead and getting cancer and getting leukemia and other blood cancers, and they know it's killing them. I mean, we ought to make all these generals go into the proving grounds and snort a line of DU if it's so good.
When I specifically talk to the generals in Washington, D.C., as I've done in the last few weeks, and ask them very specifically for help at getting medical care, environmental remediation, they just say, go to your congressman and senator, we're not going to help you.
And I noticed those troops have told me, and I've seen it in the news, the generals won't stay in these bombed-out buildings like they tell the troops to. And notice none of these generals want to stay in Iraq very long. Dr. Rokke, long segment coming up. Roll through the documents for people, because all you folks out there that claim you love the troops so much and stick American flags on your car.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Hello, this is Alex Jones with some important questions. If you're going into a battle and they give you a rifle and a sidearm, how much ammunition do you want? My answer would be all I can get. In the battle for freedom and the lives of your loved ones, food is your only ammunition. How much do you want? When do you want it? Now or after the battle starts? When will you need it? Can you buy it without proper identification? Will there be any food? Will it make your children sick? If there's a quarantine and you can't feed yourself, will you go to the gathering center and be immunized? You wipe out all these problems if you have a good food supply. Food is your ammunition.